Welcome back to Taja's Garden. I'm the gardening realtor. If you're new here, I'm glad you're here. And if you're returning, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about 28 plants that you can get out in your garden right now in May. For context, if you're new here, I am in zone 7B. So this video will be basically just referring to things that I will be starting, or you can get started if you are in zone 7B. So in zone 7B, we have about 180 days left of our growing season. An important number for you to know for a number of reasons. If you look at seed packs, it tells you the days to harvest on the very bottom. That is why you need to know how many days you have in your growing season. And right now we have about 180 days, meaning it is 180 days until our first fall frost. So that's about 6 months. If you are one of those gardeners who feel behind, don't worry, there are still a lot of things that you can get started. So let's go ahead and talk about it. To start off, we're going to talk about two things that you should definitely go ahead and start transplanting. Right now, I wouldn't recommend starting them from seed because it takes them a bit of time to get started. So let's start off with tomatoes. You definitely need to get those tomatoes outside. Some tomato varieties, if they don't have a long maturity date, you can start them from seed. However, I recommend you going ahead and getting some transplants and getting those into the ground before the humidity and the extreme heat of the summer sets in. If you didn't know already, the tomato flowers tend to go sterile. So the pollen inside of those tomato flowers tend to go sterile if the temperature is above 90 degrees. So that means those flowers are going to be dropping off and you won't get any fruit. So you want to make sure you get those in the ground so they can get established and you can get some fruit before the extreme heat sets in. Next are your peppers. You want to make sure you get peppers in the ground. Peppers are a slow growing plant. I would not recommend starting them from seed right now. It's too late, but you can definitely, if you have already started them from seed, you can go ahead and transplant them outside, get them in the ground and established before the extreme heat comes. They will love the heat. However, they will kind of drop their leaves just to conserve a little bit of water. So you want to make sure that they get established before the extreme heat comes in. That could stress them out if that is their immediate exposure. Just make sure you get that into the ground as well. So tomatoes and your peppers, top two on this list, you need to get those into the ground immediately. Like I said, peppers are a very slow growing plant, so I don't recommend starting them from seed. They will take forever. I started mine back in January and I still haven't gotten any fruit yet, and it's been 5 months, going on 5 months. So you definitely want to make sure you start that. We'll go ahead and transplant those so that they can get established and you can get some peppers before the winter comes. Next up, we're going to talk about those heat-loving plants. So number one on this list is okra. You guys know I always have okra on my list during the summer. I like pickling them. I'm actually not an okra lover. However, they are super easy to grow and they're fun to grow. So that's why they're always on my list. But they are one of those plants that you don't have to do much of anything to. They pretty much grow themselves. As soon as it really heats up outside, you can leave them alone and they will grow like weeds. So I recommend going ahead and adding that to your list if you haven't started them already. You still have time. You don't have to rush and get them out there. I usually start my okra at the very end of May or June. Either way, they absolutely love the summer, so make sure that they are on your list. Next up is corn. Corn does amazing during the summer. I am still debating on if I want to grow corn this year. Man, it is a very deep conversation I need to have with myself. If I do grow corn this year, I want to try this. This is Xanadu corn. I actually found this at a seed swap that I videoed and put on here. So if you have not seen that video, I will also link that up above. I found this at a seed swap and I'm very interested in seeing how this does. And it takes about 80 to 90 days to harvest. So we have 180 days left. So 90 days, about 3 months. So I want to make sure that if I do decide to grow corn, that's going to be something that I give a try. Another thing that you guys need to add to your list is cucumber, zucchini, squash, pumpkins. All 4 of these do amazing during the summer months and you still have time to start them. However, the earliest one that I would start in this list is cucumbers. Cucumbers do really great when it's not super hot. You will have a lot of issues with the cucumber beetle, powdery mildew, and a lot of other diseases once the humidity sets in. So if you want to start now with your cucumbers, that would be smart because you can get a couple of rounds in before your first frost date. Next up are your sweet potato slips. If you've already started those, you want to make sure you get those into the ground as well. Next, we're going to talk about 5 different seeds that you can direct sow right now, which is going to be your cantaloupe, your watermelon, your green beans, Napa cabbage, and your carrots. You guys know that I always have carrots on the list. There are a lot of different varieties. You can get some heat tolerant varieties. I personally love the taste of carrots during the winter months because they actually store their sugars, and instead of burning them for energy, they store them, which makes the carrots sweeter during the winter time. However, if you would like to go ahead and grow them all year round, they have tons of different varieties. So I think I'm going to try a different variety and see if I can get one that is specifically created to be sweet year round. I'll give that a try because I love growing them with my children. So I want to also be able to eat them instead of having to wait until the winter time. So make sure that you have carrots, Napa cabbage, cantaloupe, watermelon, and green beans. So if you did not know already, beans are in the legume family, and plants that are in the legume family, they do something extremely cool. They have the ability to grab nitrogen out of the air and push it down through their roots into the soil. So this is going to be very beneficial for all of your plants that you companion planted with, because they actually get to reap the benefits from the nitrogen being in the soil. So just keep that in mind. Beans are a fantastic companion plant for so many other vegetables. Most of these plants on this list have a taproot, and if you bother that taproot when transplanting, it'll stunt them, and they'll stay at the same height until they feel like it's time for them to grow bigger. Sometimes they may never grow bigger. So you miss out on a lot of days versus direct sowing them, and they get established way quicker and just grow super fast. So in other words, melons do not like to be transplanted. Cantaloupe do not like to be transplanted. Pumpkins don't like to be transplanted. You can, but you run the risk of damaging that taproot and stunting its growth. The best thing I can recommend is for you to direct sow these, because if you direct sow them, I guarantee you they grow so much faster. Next up are potatoes. So you still have a lot of time to grow potatoes depending on the variety. Remember at the beginning I said we have 180 days until our first frost. So you want to get those larger, longer maturing potatoes in the ground immediately. So these are going to be like your russet varieties. They take up to 6 months, 180 days. So you want to make sure that you get those in the ground now, like today. But you still have a couple of months for those smaller varieties, at least until it gets towards the middle to end of summer, like the red and the yellow varieties. If you want to go ahead and get those bigger varieties, you need to get those in the ground immediately. So you can add the smaller, short maturing potatoes to your list, and definitely put the larger, longer maturing ones on the top of your list. If you did not get a chance to go ahead and get those cool season crops planted, good news, you still have a little bit of time to go ahead and get some on your list, but you have to be strategic about it. If you still want lettuce, make sure that you find some heat tolerant lettuce varieties. You're going to find out that those red varieties of lettuce are a little bit easier to grow during the summer. And most of your head lettuces are also going to be heat tolerant. So if you want to grow lettuce and you didn't get a chance to grow that earlier, make sure that you look for heat tolerant varieties, and it'll still allow you to enjoy your salads. Next up is going to be your bok choy and pak choy. So most people don't know, but these are two different things. Pak choy in some cases are larger than your bok choy, but they are in the same family. You still have time to grow them. I actually grow them all year round. They grow faster during the summer, but they go to flower quicker. You still can grow them. Try to get it where you can plant them in a way that they are able to receive some evening shade. Usually the sun is hotter towards the evening time, especially during the summer. So if you are able to plant them the right way, then it'll kind of slow down that flowering process. Next up is onions. So it's a little too late to start those bulbing onions, but you still have time to start those green onions or your bunching onions. You can start them from seed, or you can go to the grocery store. They're like $1. You can get a bunch of them and plant them in your garden. I've actually had some from the grocery store for year or two now, and I started some from seed as well, but either way is completely fine. And the last of those cool season crops would be your celery. If you haven't got that into the ground yet, that's completely fine. I haven't gotten mine into the ground either, but I'm going to get them into the ground this month. I plan on growing them in the shade where they get partial sun, and it'll do completely fine. As long as they get about 6 hours of sunlight, they are perfectly fine. I started some in a container. I winter sowed them in January, and they are still thriving in there. I just haven't transplanted them yet because I don't have any room, but that is on my agenda for this month. So if you haven't gotten celery out into your garden, make sure you add that to your list in May. Next up are your herbs. So lavender, thyme, oregano, rosemary, sage, and mint. They're gonna have a little bit of a hard time when the extreme heat sets in. You may have issues with the leaves turning brown, or you may have issues with spider mites. Either way, you want to get them out there so they can get established and they have a chance to fight against any diseases or insects that might attack them. And they really like warm weather, so now is the perfect time for them to go out into the garden. Well, those are 28 plants that you could get started right now in May. If you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments below. If you are starting something different that I didn't list, please let me know. Remember guys, May is one of the most important months for a gardener. And I know I say this a lot, but May is definitely a really important month because whatever you plant right now in May is going to determine what you get to harvest during the summer. It's going to determine if you even have a summer harvest at all, honestly. We want to make sure that we stay on top of everything so that we can enjoy our summer harvest. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but now is the time to start planning out what you're going to start growing during the fall. It's crazy, right? It literally, this year just started, but it already feels like we are halfway through. We are almost there, honestly. So if you haven't already, start some wish lists for what you're going to start growing during the fall. So if this video helped you and you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if you want to be part of an amazing gardening community, head on over to Facebook, type in Prosper and Plants. And if you can't find it when you type it in, I also have a link down in the description below. I know you guys may see me post a lot of gardening things on there, but I want you to know that that group is also yours. I want to see what you guys are growing, and I want you guys to network in the comments, get to know each other. We are building a community over there. So if you are not a part of it, I would love you to join. And as always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.